Hello, everyone. Coming up here on the Pro Wrestling Show presents the AEW Dynamite Ring Report. You won't believe who is back. This man right here, Chris Jericho, has returned to AEW after a year absence. We thought Jericho was going to head to WWE past January. He hasn't. He's going to make a surprise appearance at WrestleMania. That's not going to happen. But Chris Jericho's in the house. Surprise appearance. We'll talk about it coming up. But here are some of the matches that we're going to be looking forward to coming up here. The huge six-man trios tag team match. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, the AEW National Champion, with Brody King, the #1 contender for the AEW World Title, Kenny Omega to take on the man Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Tay Omen in a six-man tag team match. Speaking of that, Pat goes 1-1 against Will Ospreay. Plus, Kenny Omega back in town again in a huge contract signing between him and MJF to sign over the golden cast the guideline for the world title. We could get another huge six-person tag team match for the women's side thing. Mika and the Brawling Birds take on the Triangle Madness. But we're going to get started with this. Chris Jericho returns back to AEW. He returns back in a huge fashion right here, right now, on the Pro Wrestling Show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, as always, Stevie Dix here. Glad you can join us here on the Pro Wrestling Show. Join in the conversation using the hashtag Pro Wrestling here on Connect. And don't forget to subscribe. Subscribe is caring. Tell a friend, call a friend. Hit that subscribe button so you won't miss a thing here on the Pro Wrestling Show. Man, thank you all for watching. Let's get things started right here, right now. We're going to talk about this. Chris Jericho makes his return back to AEW within a year absence. Jericho made the return. You see, Jericho looks lean, he looks mean, and he's ready to go out. And Chris Jericho came out with a standing ovation over a year. Can you believe Chris Jericho's not been in AEW within a year absence? I can't believe that myself. I thought Jericho, he took some time off to heal, rest, get his mind back together. Chris Jericho back in the saddle once again. And one thing about Chris Jericho, who is he targeting? That's one thing about Jericho. He focuses on who's he targeting. Jericho didn't say a word, so Chris Jericho's back in AEW. Chris Jericho getting himself together. We got to wonder what's Jericho's next feud is going to be. Is he going to feud with who's going to be leaving out the world champion? So Chris Jericho got some bones to pick out, but he is back. I'm glad Chris Jericho is back. Chris Jericho never looked it so well. Happy to see Chris Jericho, and he's back. And he's back to make a vengeance known. So good for Jericho, as we see right there. Chris Jericho, like he's been aged a little bit, but he's aged gracefully. So hey, Jericho's back. So go from there. Also, too, here on the AEW Ring Report right here, I'm going to talk about this right here. The contract signing between MJF and Kenny Omega. These two will meet in the contract signing. The sign on the cast on the dotted line. Both men claim that they respect each other. MJF I can't. MJF had Speedball Mike Bailey came out there, who MJF will meet later on tonight, one-on-one. But Kenny Omega saying that he's here, he's gonna take the world title from him. That Speedball Mike Bailey got something going on, but Mike Bailey got so we saw right there that could be the case, but Speedball Mike Bailey will get a shot at world champion MJF a little bit later on in the show. We'll see that match coming up as well. So looking forward to seeing that as well between them. So MJF looks like he's gonna have a lot of problems on his hand coming up Dynasty. And, him and Kenny Omega signed that contract, and they did sign the contract to make it official. They do for that. So we get that a little bit later. So speaking of that, to a huge 6-man tag team match. Jungle Boy Jack Perry, the AEW National Champion, teams up with Brody King and Kenny Omega. Team against the Man. What a match that was. And that match laid tonight as it did. But Omega and them won their match. But there was tension line as we see that Darby Allin and Kenny Omega looked at each other real close. What's going on with that? But the tension lines between the hands. So we see how that went down. But looks like Darby Allin's gonna be wrestling one of the Don Callis family members. And Darby Allin is gonna wrestle Andrade. Andrade didn't want to wrestle, but he's gonna be chosen. Andrade kind of looked like he was kind of a bit offhand, off guarded with it. But Andrade saying, "Man, why you pick me of all people?" So we see how that's gonna go coming up. So Andrade putting forward to what he got going on as well. So we see. So we see how that's gonna go. Looks like Edge and Christian are looking for FTR, the dudes they challenged for the World Tag Team titles, but they found Roppongi Vice and attacked Roppongi Vice and made an example out of Roppongi Vice. So it looks like Edge and Christian want to get their hands on Roppongi Vice. FTR, they'll get their hands on coming up in that tag team match, but FTR wasn't nowhere to be found, nowhere to be caused neither. I think Stokey's trying to plot what the next scheme is. We'll see. Well, speaking of that, we get to a huge 6-woman tag team match. You see right here, the Triangle Madness and Mika. Mika coming on her own, not being in the hand of you know who, Timeless Tony Storm. Mika, and her team won the Brawling Birds. Mika and the Brawling Birds won their match over Tackler. Could give herself a AEW Women's Championship match down the road. We could see that either way sooner rather than later. But the Brawling Birds and Mika win their match. You're gonna win their match indeed. Well, speaking of that, we had Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay went against Pac right here. Will Ospreay against Pac, night of the Death Riders. Well, Will Ospreay got attacked from behind from the Death Riders, from the angels of you know who. We see Ospreay getting attacked from behind by the Death Riders, making an example out of them. Ospreay got a lot going on. And Ospreay on how this is going to go down. Well, we get to the main event. The main event of the night was World Champion MJF goes against Speedball Mike Bailey. What a match that was. MJF had the opening of the American flag. I don't know why he's trying to tout America, and he got the MJF 50 states of MJF. What is crazy? Got himself on there on the 50 stars. So he done that and stuff like that. But MJF retains his world championship over Speedball Mike Bailey. But MJF found him away. What is he? MJF right here holding the belt. Speedball Mike Bailey, Kenny Omega against Speedball Mike Bailey, his flowers. But we see how that went down as well as stuff. But as we saw, but so we see that MJF, Kenny Omega will meet for the World Championship at Dynasty coming up. So we'll see that match coming up for how this is going to be. All right. That does it for the AEW Ring Report. Let's move over to Wrestling Hot Topics. On Wrestling Hot Topics, we want to hear about this right here. This Friday on SmackDown, Randy Orton said he will reveal who he's been talking to, who are the voices in the head, who is on this telephone conversation. Everybody wants curious to know. People are thinking it's Randy's dad, Bob, or Ric Flair, Mr. McMahon. We don't know who it could be, but it could be somebody. But we will find out and know about it very soon and very shortly this Friday on SmackDown. So don't forget, we'll have the SmackDown Ring Report this Friday, and we'll let you know what's going on the SmackDown Ring Report coming up. So we saw that as well. So we'll look and see about that. Speaking of that, Roman Reigns has some new merch. So Roman Reigns got new merchandise and stuff like that. So you see Roman Reigns getting himself together as well. All right. That does it for the SmackDown ring report. Well, not the SmackDown, but the AEW ring report. Let's put the AEW ring report logo. The AEW ring report here on the Pro Wrestling Show. Thank you for watching. Chris Jericho is back with a vengeance. What's Jericho's going to do? We're going to have to figure out and find out coming up in the coming weeks. Thank you all for watching this edition of the Pro Wrestling Show. I've been your host, Kendra Dix, saying so long. We'll see you tomorrow for the TNA ring report here on the Pro Wrestling Show.